Bucket naked.
Please hit the gym. Please hit the gym, and the pH needs to be balanced as well.
I've been drinking. Can't keep your eyes up right now.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JLerone Presents. I am your host, JLerone, or you can call me JLP. Just don't call me late for dinner, all right? Listen, we got Stephen A. Smith here talking to the Border Czar Tom Homan. They're going to go over, the border, basically. He's going to talk about him being the Border Czar, zero tolerance, and things of that nature. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive on in and listen to what Tom had to say, and yeah, we're just going to go ahead and get into it. So you guys go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, share. It helps the channel grow. All right, and fair use.
Back to you with this question, too, though. You're considered one of the masterminds of the first Trump administration's infamous zero tolerance policy, which led to the separation of thousands of migrant children from their parents in the eyes of many at the very least. The idea led to the separation of more than, I think, 4,000 children from their parents, and some were lamenting that some of them were put in cages. How do you answer these questions? For those that don't know, how do you answer questions like that, like I just posed to you, in terms of 4,000 children being separated from their parents?
Absolutely. So where did zero tolerance come from? Zero tolerance came from this. 31% of women that make their journey get raped by the criminal cartels. Children were dying on that border every day. Dying. Either drowning in a river, dying making that journey. Children were sexually assaulted, and children were dying in the desert. They made that journey, and a lot of women and children not only died, many were sexually assaulted. So we said, look, how can we save lives? How can we stop the sexual assault of children? So we said, look, let's prosecute them because it's a crime to enter this country illegally. So if we
did he say it's a crime to enter this country illegally? What did Jasmine Crockett just say last week? Wasn't Jasmine Crockett saying that it wasn't a crime? I don't know. Y'all tell me, because people are telling me I'm stupid because I'm not believing her. People are telling me that since she's a lawyer and she's in Congress, she knows what the fuck she's talking about. What did the Border Czar just say, right? So who am I supposed to believe? Am I supposed to believe the lawyer? Of course, she's intelligent because she's a lawyer, but should I believe somebody that, you got to ask yourself, if she's a lawyer and she's supposed to know this and she's wrong, why is she wrong? You got to ask yourself, why is this lawyer lying to you?
prosecute them and put them in jail, maybe the numbers go down, maybe less will come. And it worked. Zero tolerance, that the numbers of families putting themselves in harm's way and putting themselves in the hands of criminal cartels dropped significantly. However, the sad part about it, the unfortunate part about it, is that when you prosecute a parent and put them in jail, the child won't go with them. And I'll say this, I started as a police officer in New York. Police agencies across this country separate families 1,000 times a day across this country because the child doesn't go to jail with the parent. And I've said during my testimony, and one time I was testifying at Hill, when I was a cop in New York, when I went to domestic violence call and I arrested the father, I separated that family. Child can't go to jail with them. When I arrested a DUI and he had a child in the car, I separated that family. It's an unfortunate and saddest part of law enforcement. Families get separated when the parents gets arrested. So we do let the families 1,000 times a day in this country with Americans, but they want a different set of rules for illegal aliens.
AOC, and that's AOC's biggest complaint. Why are you separating the families? Why are y'all separating the families? And he's telling you right here, same thing that happened in the United States. When you arrest a criminal here that's a citizen, guess what? They get separated. It's the same. Nothing changes. It's just that these are illegals, and then you have your normal citizens. Man, y'all gotta wake up and quit believing these congresswomen just because they're congresswomen. They're lying for a reason.
But the whole intent of doing this was to save lives with less sexual assaults on women and children. That was the whole purpose for it. But they keep harping on that Trump's family separation policy. But and you're right, about 4,000. But they don't talk about the 500,000, 500,000 separations that this administration was responsible for, because they sent a message to the whole world. If you're a child and you're crossing the country illegally, you're not going to be deported. We'll deliver you to the very same people who paid a criminal cartel to smuggle you into this country. So, what we did was try to save lives and decrease sexual assaults. What they did was send a message to the whole world. Child can cross the border. We'll get them to the final destination at government expense and reward the people who paid the criminal cartels. Bring them, and that's why the numbers exploded, because there's no consequence. We had a consequence. They didn't.
Right. Biden just said, come on in. The Biden administration said, yo, come on in. We'll take care of you. We'll protect you. We'll put you in these sanctuary cities and give you these SNAP benefits, these EBT cards, and give you all this money and put you up in these luxurious hotels, and where the owners of these hotels are getting kickbacks.
Incredibly compelling answer that you just gave. I can't refute it. No one should, as far as I'm concerned, sir. But I would ask you this, because whether it's optics or it's a reality, listening to what you said, how sensitive you are to these issues, what one would argue diametrically opposes that is when we see one story, and granted, it's one individual, but it's still a 10-year-old in Texas who's a U.S. citizen being deported to Mexico, suffering from brain cancer. You've seen that story plastered all over the news wires over the last couple of days. How do you explain your mode of thinking and your explanation about why you do what you do and why you're committed to doing what you're doing, which is pretty damn close to irrefutable, I might add. But then we see a case like that happening. How do you juxtapose that?
Look, you and I are on the same page. Actually, I've been on travel the last couple of days. I saw that story on my way to work this morning. I read that story, and what did I do? I immediately contacted the office of the Border Czar and said, I want facts in this case. Because many times the facts are different from what you read in the media, but I've already inquired about it. What happened here? What's the ground truth here? So I'm looking into it. I read that story this morning. I know I'm a day behind, but I get hundreds of phone calls, hundreds of texts. I have a lot of meetings. I'm on an airplane all the time, but I've asked this morning because we want to make sure. Look, I've been honest from the beginning. We want to be transparent American people. If we screw up, we didn't know we screw up. If we do something, so I've already asked that question. I don't have the facts on it yet. I've asked for facts, ground truth on that, and I'll deal with it once I get the facts up on the ground from what actually happened. Because many times what you read in the media, they leave half the story out. Sometimes they don't, but I'm going to find out.
Well, I appreciate that answer. That's very honest and stand up for you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, at least he's going to look into it. Like I said, these liberals will get out here and spread stuff and will have you believing that he's on board with it, which, like he's telling you, he ain't had time to look at it yet. So he's just one man. He's working a lot of things. So y'all got to give that man grace and let him take a look at what's going on.
Are you saying that you don't know all the facts yet? And if you do find out that this 10-year-old child was indeed a United States citizen, that you will make sure that child is not deported?
I'll make sure I get all the facts and make a decision based on the facts. I can't tell you what I'm going to do yet. The facts could be 1,000 different ways, right? But are the parents a public safety threat? Are they national security threat? They can't be here. And so we got to find out what the facts are, but we'll make a decision that is the most humanitarian thing we can do.
Let me switch to sanctuary cities because obviously I've seen you, and
answer.
I
That was a
must.
good answer.
I shouldn't say this. It's actually bad for me to say this on camera, but I haven't minded you at all. Going at elected officials and law enforcement officials and letting them know that they were going to be accountable if they didn't follow the law. Didn't bother me at all to see that from you. But I am wondering, what are your future plans for sanctuary cities, and do you see a legal solution to sanctuary cities in this country?
I actually do. We're working on some things right now. I don't want to share it here on this podcast because it's law enforcement sensitive. We're working on some things now, but I can say this. Sanctuary cities are sanctuary for criminals. And we're going to hold them accountable. And Pam Bondi, now that she's the Attorney General, she's already filed lawsuits. And we're going to continue filing lawsuits because we think knowingly releasing a public safety threat back into the public is just dumb. There's no reason for that. When you release a public safety threat back in the public, it puts our officers at great risk because rather than arresting somebody in the safety and security of county jail, now we got to go to the neighborhood and find them, which is dangerous for the officer, dangerous for the alien because anything can happen on a street arrest, and it's certainly dangerous for the community. So we want to make, in sanctuary cities, they don't understand, they're hurting themselves because when you don't give us access to the bad guy locked in a jail cell, which is safe for everybody, you release them to the community, you're going to get exactly what you don't want. You're going to put the public at greater risk of crime because many will commit another crime. And what you're going to force ICE in the community, and we'll find the bad guy, but when we find him, he's probably with others that aren't a criminal threat, but they're in the country illegally. Well, they're going to go to, because we're not going to turn our back on illegal alien. Once we find it, we're going to let ICE do their job and enforce immigration law. So what you get being a sanctuary city is exactly what you don't want. More officers in the community and more collateral arrests because we found them while we're looking for the bad guy. So we want the sanctuary cities to do one thing. Let us end the jail. Let us talk to the person that you locked in a jail cell because obviously the public safety threat. Give us access to that person. It's safer for everybody. It's the right thing to do. And the message from sanctuary cities is this, which is a bunch of crap. Well, we're a sanctuary city. We're welcoming jurisdiction because we want illegal aliens to feel safe when they want to report crimes or they're victim of crime to come to us for help without the fear we're working with ICE. That is so false because number one, we don't want to talk to the victim witness. We want to talk to the guy you locked in a jail cell. And if you go talk to the victim witness and ask him, do you want the bad guy released back in your neighborhood? The victim and witness don't want him back either. So let us get access to the person locked in that taxpayer-funded jail.
And I agree with everything he's saying, cause think about this. You lock them up. You let them out. You let these illegal aliens out. What they're going to do? They're going to go right back into the same neighborhoods. They're going to hang around the known gang members, the people that are committing crimes with them. And like he said, once they do find him, now what? They finna arrest him along with the people he's with. So that's collateral. That's what you're talking about, the collateral damage, right? It's just like when you let somebody, a citizen, a known drug dealer citizen who's out, y'all let him out, guess what? He gets picked up again, and when he's going to go straight back into the community. He's going to go straight back and hang out with the known criminals, the people that he's associated with in his gang or whatever, right? So when they go to get him again, you know what I'm saying, for whatever reason, they're going to get everybody that's surrounded with him because he's going to be back in his element. It's the same premise, man. It's like, and then you got AOC and them, saying that it shouldn't happen. Sanctuary cities, they shouldn't be, going in and arresting these illegals. That's crazy.
To help drive crime down the neighborhood and make it safe for officers, alien in the community. It just makes sense to me as a career cop. I don't understand why any elected official whose number one responsibility is protection of their community, why would you not work with us to remove a child rapist from the community rather than release them back in the community?
I got about 3 more.
Y'all got to ask yourselves these questions like he just asked. Why would they want to help a known criminal, a known rapist, a known predator? Y'all know that's what it is, and yet they're steady trying to protect them. You got to ask yourselves why.
A question for you, because I know your time is precious, and I really appreciate you giving me this time. Prior to the election, you pledged to conduct the largest deportation in American history. Now, there's more than 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States. Where do we stand today in terms of identifying those individuals and deporting them out of the country?
Great question, because I read a media story this morning. We're deporting less people than Joe Biden. Yeah, because Joe Biden had millions of people coming across the border every year, and a lot of border patrols are removing a lot of them. So you can't compare the administration. It isn't how many removed. It's number one, how many did you release into the country illegally? And Biden administration is in the millions. And the more important question is, how many interior arrests, people in the interior of the country, did you arrest?
Oh, Biden them had a catch and release. Biden, they was catching them in the United States and then letting them go in the United States. And then they'll have it on the books as if they caught them, but they wouldn't have it on the books that they let them out. Crooked. That's why Trump called him Crooked Joe. Oh shit! That's why he called them the Biden crime family.
If you look at those numbers, we're about 3 times higher than Joe Biden was during the same time period. We got about 36,000 arrests so far, vast majority of criminals, because President Trump has promised American people on this mass deportation operation, the worst first, the criminals first, because they're the biggest danger to our communities. National security threats, public safety threats, that's what we're concentrating on. But that aperture will open to the 1.4 million that had due process at great taxpayer expense, were order removed. But instead of leaving, they became a fugitive. That aperture will open up. So you can see the arrests increased in the very near future. But the problem is sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are making us less efficient. Well, rather than one agent arresting one bad guy in the jail, now we got to send a whole team into the neighborhood for officer safety reasons to find somebody that don't want to be found. So that's slowing us up. But what we'll do, we'll double the man force of sanctuary cities. We'll double the teams. We're not going to be stopped. We'll overcome all the roadblocks we're putting in, but we're going to get it done.
But you're talking about in Guantanamo Bay, for example, there's tens of thousands of available space, but there are millions of immigrants in this country illegally. So I'm saying if you're successful from a deportation standpoint in terms of locating who those individuals are, there's only but so much room in Guantanamo Bay. Where else are they going to go? What are you going to do with them?
Another great question. I've been on media for the last 2 weeks. Congress needs to fund this operation. We need money because you're right. Every illegal alien we arrest, we need a bed for. Our bed's almost full right now. So we need money so we can do what the American people voted for. The number one issue was illegal immigration, removing criminal aliens. So Congress needs to come and give us the funding to do this. We need to buy more beds. We need to have more out of country planes. We need more contracts to have more contract people come in and do the work that doesn't require law enforcement, that law enforcement is currently doing. So you're exactly right. Congress needs to come through. I'm hoping they sign a bill today or hopefully tonight. We need a bill right now, but we need reconciliation. We need money to be successful because if more money we have, the more successful we're going to be.
I got to admit, Mr. Homan, that should be the easiest part of your job. I mean, the president has all 3 branches of government in his favor. I mean, the GOP has that, the White House, the Senate, the House. I mean, it shouldn't be difficult at this particular moment in time for them to give you what you want since they assigned you to do this job. But I want to transition real quick to undocumented workers. So a lot of people argue, they've had a massive economic benefit. They've been a massive economic benefit to this country. They pay taxes, are important to the workforce, are less violent than some naturalized citizens. That's the things that you keep hearing people say. What role does that play in your thinking when it comes to issues of deportation?
Look, if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. It's not okay to be here illegally. But as you know, we're prioritizing worst of the worst fugitives. And here's the issue. Now, I'll use one example, and this is a true example. I had a new roof put on my house 2 years ago. I had to call 6 companies before I got a company that guaranteed me a legal workforce. And one person that showed up was a father and son. Father and son used to have 20 United States citizen employees. But him and his son came by and said, can I just repair the roof? Do we need to replace the roof? Because him and his son can't replace the whole roof. Here's the story he told me. He had to fire 20 U.S. citizen employees because he was competing against all these companies that had illegal aliens paying them, $7 an hour to get on the roof. Well, he was paying U.S. citizens $20 to get on the roof. People need to understand that no one hires an illegal alien on the goodness of their hearts. The hireman can pay them less, work them further, work them harder, and undercut their competition as U.S. citizen employees. Now, I'll say this: if we need that type of staff to come to this country and work, then it's up to Congress to make the changes. But we can't condone hiring illegal aliens because that's what drives everything else. when you overwhelm the Border Patrol with what people call innocent immigration, just people coming here for a better life, people coming for a job. But what they need to understand, there's an ugly underbelly of that, because when you overwhelm the Border Patrol, you tie Border Patrol up with what they call innocent immigration, it overwhelms the Border Patrol, which means there's less agents on the border to arrest people smuggling fentanyl. There's less people, agents on the border to stop the sex trafficking. What happened to Joe Biden? Joe Biden caused such a huge surge in illegal immigration. 70% of agents were pulled off the line to deal with this humanitarian crisis and deal with this so-called innocent illegal immigration. And when they did that, what happened, Steve? 600% increase in sex trafficking. We got 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl. We got a record number of people on terrorist watch lists across the border. So we got to do this legally. There are millions of people standing in line right now, taking their tests, paying their fees, doing the background investigation, come to the country the right way. They're sitting in the back seat because CIS is overwhelmed with fraudulent asylum claims. So I get it. If we need a workforce, need more workforce in the country, then we create a legal program. They can come with a visa, so they don't have to pay a criminal cartel. They don't have to give their whole life savings to put themselves at risk for the criminal cartel and swim across the river and drown. So Congress needs to do some work, but we can't condone illegal immigration. We can't condone, go ahead and enter the country legally, and we're not going to be looking for it. We got to send the message to the whole world. There's a set of rules. There's a right way and a wrong way to come to the greatest nation.
Yeah, he's talking about people coming over saying that they are asylum seekers, right? And I had talked to some people on TikTok today about this shit. They sitting up here yelling, same thing. Jasmine is right. These people are not criminals. It's basically saying they all coming over here to seek asylum. All these motherfuckers ain't coming over here are asylum seekers. They're not seeking asylum. They're running. They're running from the government. They're running from the cartels. They're running from the police, right? They're all coming over here to basically scam, rob, steal, and do everything else that they've been doing. And like you said, there's thousands and thousands of people waiting, you know, who's trying to pay their applications and do it the right way, but they're being overran by these people who saying that they're asylum seekers, these fraudulent claims that they're, you know, saying that they're coming over here to be asylum seekers. So that's what he's talking about.
On earth, let's do things the right way. I got to look at legislative branch Congress to do that. But in the meantime, we can't okay illegal immigration because it's going to result in more people dying, more women being raped, more cartels, you know, making more money to come to flood this country with poisonous fentanyl.
Very last question to you, sir. I give you the floor. You want America to know what about ICE right now, today, and moving forward?
I'm sick and tired of reading stories that ICE is going to raid your school, they're going to raid your churches, they're doing neighborhood sweeps. People need to understand everybody that ICE arrests is based on a targeted enforcement operation, which means they know who they're going to arrest. They have a pretty good idea where they're going. They have to drop an operational plan. So it's not neighborhood sweeps. We're not going through neighborhoods looking for people different than us. And when we got away with the sense of location policy, we ended it. Why? Because we have to go to a high school and arrest an MS-13 member we know is there right now. He's a public safety threat. We need to go in that high school along with the local authorities and arrest that public safety threat. Doesn't mean we're going to raid the school. I mean, we're going to arrest the bad guy that's in the high school, the same as every other federal law enforcement agency, state law enforcement agency, local. They all do it. And ICE should not have a different set of rules. We'll go into schools, arrest a public safety threat, significant public safety threat. Churches, we'll never raid a church, but if we know there's a national security threat we know is in a church right now that we're looking for, and we know he's sitting there right now, we'll go and arrest that person. Doesn't mean we're raiding schools. Doesn't mean we're raiding churches. We're not raiding hospitals, which I see a lot of left media saying it. They're scaring the immigrant community. I want people to go to school. We want people to go see their doctor and go to hospital, go to church. We got to straighten that narrative out. It's a left that are putting fear in the immigrant community. We are basing our operations right now on the worst of the worst criminals. So go to church, go get your medical care, send your children to school. We're not raiding those places. We're doing the same thing every law enforcement agency does. It's not sweeps, target enforcement operation, a lot of planning. We do this carefully. The agents are very professional. So I just wish the left would just state the truth on what we're exactly doing. Look at the data. As I just said, 36,000 arrests, vast majority of criminals. We're doing exactly what President Trump said we would do and that I said we would do. We're concentrating on worse first.
There's no left or right here. I'm center. I care about the damn truth. And as far as I'm concerned, I want you to know, first of all, you're welcome back on the show anytime. I would love to have you back on to get in more intensive conversations about this, even more so than we just did over this last 20 plus minutes. I thank you for your time, and please feel free. Anytime you've got something to say and you want to come back and you want to have a conversation, please know that you're welcome to come back on the show, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
All right.
All right, so there you go. There you have it. From the horse's mouth. Ain't no telling how many times he done had this discussion, especially on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, all these other places. Now he's on Stephen A. Smith saying the same thing he's been saying. If you're a criminal, we're coming to get you. Doesn't matter if you're in a church, school, job. It doesn't matter. If they know you are a known criminal, a gang member, a child predator and all that, if they know you're there, they're coming to get you. Not everybody else. They're coming to get you. It's not a raid like AOC and all these other Democrats are trying to say. You know, they're spreading all these lies and propaganda. They're coming to get specific people. Point blank. You guys, drop some comments down below. Let me know what you think. JLerone with JLerone Presents. All right. You guys, please be good to yourselves. By all means, let's be good to one another. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Buck you naked.